A shocking claim against a famous idol caught everyone's attention, which were accusations of SA and a company allegedly trying to silence the victim through deportation. But as more details came out, something felt off. The story began to crack, and what started as a serious allegation soon had people questioning if it was all just a lie. A Reddit post by a user claiming to be a 24-year-old African-American woman has sparked concern. According to her, she moved from New York City to South Korea to work as a teacher in Songbook. She explained that she had no issues making friends or going out socially, whether alone or with others. In her post, she described going to a club in Itaewon about 2 weeks prior to speaking out, where she met a K-pop idol whose name she didn't reveal. She said they connected instantly, and after checking in with her friends who were also at the club, they agreed she could talk to him more. What followed, according to her, was a night of heavy flirting, dancing, and drinking before they went back to where he was staying. She claimed that once they were alone, he offered her what he said was water. Trusting him, she drank it, but around 10 minutes later, she began to feel intensely dizzy and disoriented. She said she voiced her discomfort, but he brushed it off. Not long after, she claimed she became unable to move or resist as he forced himself on her. Afterward, she alleged that he told her to leave. Still barely able to walk or speak, she said she eventually managed to get out and contacted her friends. But when she tried to explain what happened, none of them apparently believed her, not even the one who saw them leave the club together. They allegedly dismissed her claims, accusing her of making up the story because she regretted the encounter. She explained that going to the police didn't feel like an option as she feared they wouldn't take her seriously, and even more than that, she was scared of how Korean netizens might react if her story got out. Although she didn't reveal the idol's name, she left a vague clue saying he was part of a trio from the 3rd or 4th generation of K-pop. Not long after the first post, the user returned with a follow-up in the Off My Chest subreddit, where more details about the incident were shared. According to the original poster, the violent encounter lasted for hours, and once it was over, the accuser said she was thrown out and left to make her way home on her own, sometime around 4 or 5 in the morning. After being encouraged by others to report the incident, the user claimed she did go to the police. However, according to what the embassy later told her, no action was taken against the idol. Still looking for accountability, the original poster said she wrote a formal letter to his agency, which she said was part of the so-called Big Three, laying out everything that had allegedly happened in hopes that they would investigate the matter internally, but she received no reply. Later on, the user said she got an unexpected phone call telling her to bring all of her legal documents to the immigration office. Since the accuser was in South Korea on a valid work visa, she didn't initially suspect anything unusual, but once she arrived, she claimed she was told that her visa had been revoked and that she had 30 days to leave the country. The original poster said she was completely caught off guard by what happened next. When she asked immigration why her visa was being revoked, the response stunned her as they claimed she had spread false information that harmed the country's reputation. Still confused, the user pushed for a clearer explanation. That's when she said she was told this was considered the civil route because the idol's agency had already reported her to immigration for harassment and defamation. In other words, the user said she was being deported for speaking up. In her post, the accuser expressed deep frustration, saying she couldn't wrap her head around the fact that she was being forced to leave simply for trying to report what happened. In a separate comment on Reddit, the original poster also claimed that she had physical evidence and medical records to support her claims, and that she had made several copies of them. Although the original posts were eventually taken down, they later resurfaced on the K-pop noir subreddit, posted with the accuser's permission, going viral as other K-pop stans tried to figure out the identity of the idol. Then, as the topic was gaining more traction, a Twitter account surfaced, with the user claiming that they were the person who had made the Reddit posts. She said she was no longer in South Korea and was safe, but explained that she wouldn't reveal the idol's identity until she was back in the United States. Still, even without a name, rumors began to spread quickly. Online speculation pointed toward 3RACHA, the rap subunit of Stray Kids, mainly because they matched the few hints the user had given, a trio under one of the big three companies. But the accuser made it clear that those rumors were false. She said the speculation was getting out of control and that the misinformation was causing her to be harassed. She stressed that clearing up those false claims was a top priority and that she couldn't say more until she returned to the US. To prove she was the same person who posted on Reddit, she shared screenshots from her Reddit account claiming it belonged to her. She also gave one more important detail. The idol was signed under JYP Entertainment. That narrowed things down quickly. Of the 3rd and 4th generation male groups under JYP, there were only 2 possible trios, and since she had already ruled out 3RACHA, many turned their attention to Day6's subunit, Even of Day. Eventually, she appeared to confirm those suspicions by retweeting a post that read, "What makes the most sense is Day6." That led people to speculate further, with most pointing to Dawoon, the youngest member and drummer of the group. When someone asked her which member she was referring to, the accuser responded with a gif of a cat playing bongos, which many took took as a not-so-subtle hint that she was talking about him. She also liked tweets directly accusing him. However, people started becoming suspicious of the whole thing when the user posted the so-called proof. From the start, the timeline didn't make any sense. She said the two had hit it off at the club at around 11 p.m. and then went back to his place, with the alleged crime taking place at around 4 or 5 in the morning, but fans quickly pointed out that day 6 were seen rehearsing past midnight. Not only that, Dawoon had back-to-back concerts at KSPO Dome from May 9th through the 18th, making it hard to believe he had the time to go to a club. Then came the images, 2 selfies showing her with smudged makeup and her eyes hidden, one on the street, another at the hospital, and a third photo of a document with parts blacked out. At first glance, they were unsettling, but the more people looked, the more they noticed things that didn't add up. In the first selfie, her necklace appeared oddly distorted, cut off in some areas and blending unnaturally in others. In the second image, the inconsistencies kept piling up. The 2 necklaces from the earlier photo seemed to merge into one. Her tattoo looked noticeably different, and the writing on her shirt didn't match known branding. That shirt in particular caught the attention of fashion enthusiasts. She was supposedly wearing the Eda Gia tank from I Am Gia, but the print on the shirt said Gi Gia instead. It was pointed out that even knockoffs usually follow the brand's text style, and the font on her top looked completely off. What really set off alarm bells was the image of the so-called hospital document. Right away, something felt off. The photo didn't look like it was taken naturally as the angles were odd, the paper looked way too smooth, and the lighting across the document didn't match the rest of the scene. Even the laptop in the background was strangely blurry. Korean netizens quickly pointed out several issues. The document was filled with spelling mistakes, and some characters were completely botched. Letters and even whole syllables were just wrong. Plus, the user had claimed to be 24 on Reddit, but the document listed a birth year of 2004, making her 21. That alone made people question whether the entire story was real. But the biggest red flag came later. Internet users discovered that the 2 photos shared by the account weren't just suspicious, they were AI generated. Worse, they were directly based on images from a British model's Instagram account at lame.cobain. People even found the exact reference photo used to create the AI image. It came from a post she made in January 2023 where she's wearing the same shirt but with the correct text along with 2 matching necklaces and identical nails. Same pose, same expression, and any theory that the model might actually be the victim didn't hold up either, as when the alleged crime happened, she was in Ibiza, so the more people looked into it, the more it seemed like the whole thing had been made up. After things started falling apart, the Twitter user tried to do damage control by starting a Twitter space to answer questions. But instead of clearing anything up, she just made everything worse. When asked about the document, she claimed that she had asked her legal team if she could share any proof. According to her, they gave her permission to post 3 images. She said those were sent back to her and that she simply uploaded them. But then she added that after sharing them, she suspected her legal team might have used AI to alter the photos, which supposedly explained why they looked off. That didn't clear up much, especially when people pointed out that the pictures looked nearly identical to the ones from a British model's Instagram. When confronted, the user just said she was confused and didn't understand why her images matched someone else's so perfectly. Things got even stranger when someone asked about her Korean skills. Despite saying she had lived and worked in Korea for 9 months, she admitted she didn't speak the language at all. That raised a lot of eyebrows, especially because she claimed to be teaching, and people questioned how she could do that without knowing Korean. It didn't help that Dawoon, the person she claimed to have interacted with, barely speaks any English himself, so how did they even talk? Then she was asked about how she communicated with hospital staff. She said she used Google Translate, but long-term residents in Korea usually rely on Papago, a much more accurate and common translation app for Korean. That answer alone made people doubt whether she had ever lived there. On top of that, she had no idea what topic was, which a widely known Korean language test most foreigners are at least familiar with if they live or work in Korea. All these red flags made it harder and harder for anyone to believe her story. What really set people off, though, was her behavior during the space. While being called out for faking such a serious story, she chuckled, and it was clear that she was trying to keep herself from laughing. Her reaction made it obvious she wasn't treating the situation with the seriousness it deserved, and that only added to the growing backlash. As a Twitter account put it best, lying and using AI to make false essay allegations against someone is just vile and contributes to actual essay victims not being taken seriously. What a disgusting thing to do. People were also disturbed by how far the account went, taking the model's photos and running them through AI just to make her look injured and distressed. Another person said, "This is really disturbing. How can someone be this insane for attention to fake everything, especially about something so big? Really disgusting. I hope the company takes an action against the person." By this point, people were starting to question whether the Reddit and Twitter accounts actually belonged to the same person. Some even speculated that the Twitter user might have faked evidence evidence, using Photoshop or AI to make it seem like both accounts were hers. Then the Reddit user came forward claiming the Twitter account was indeed her at first. She said she had written the early tweets, including the pinned post and the Reddit confirmation, but then someone allegedly hacked her account and took over everything else, including hosting the space. According to her, she began receiving non-stop password reset emails around 4 in the morning, and after accidentally clicking one, she lost access. But that explanation didn't hold up. People noticed her own screenshot showed the first email came at 4 p.m., not 4 a.m., contradicting her timeline. She also insisted she never mentioned anything about the idol being from JYP. However, someone pointed out that the tweet claiming the idol was from JYP was posted before the Reddit confirmation, something she claimed to have written herself. She tried to explain that by saying the post had been edited, since Twitter now allows that. But others quickly pointed out that Twitter marks edited tweets, and the JYP tweet showed no sign of being changed, so the inconsistencies just kept piling up. In the eyes of many who followed this from the start, everything points to the entire thing being made up on both Reddit and Twitter. JYP Entertainment hasn't made a public statement, which isn't unusual, but many believe it's only a matter of time before legal action is taken. Given the severity of the claims and the involvement of an uninvolved public figure, both JYP and the model herself could have strong grounds to sue. The model didn't stay silent either. She publicly distanced herself from the situation, calling it outrageous that someone not only stole her images, but also ran them through AI to turn them into fake evidence. She made it clear she had nothing to do with the claims and was disgusted that her likeness was used in such a damaging way. What's even more disturbing is the idea that all of this might have been some kind of joke. Using AI and a real person's face to push a false story, especially one involving something as serious as SA, is beyond irresponsible. These kinds of stunts make it even harder for real victims to be believed. All it takes is one lie like this, and people start using it as an excuse to doubt those who are actually telling the truth.